Good morning. Hi, it is Stacy. We are walking in my shoes, and this is Living My Veteran. And I can't see the flipping comments, so I'm not even sure they're going to come out today. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Um, we are working on our series on abuse. We're going to get into some really more in depth things later as we go through this. But I just want everyone to know that we are here this morning and we're going to get ready to get started. First, before we do too much, Behind the Service podcast, our friends there, they are an amazing group of women. They had their birthday celebration last night, which I was invited to be part of. And I am truly blessed because we met more empowering groups of people who truly believe in the veterans and what we're doing. So again, Michelle's going to have to fix this for me because I don't remember how I did it, but I can't see comments at the present moment. So if somebody wants to type in a comment and let me see if I see it and then give me a thumbs up, that way I know for sure that I can't see them because right now I can't see nothing. Makes me sad. So a lot going on as usual. We have Let's Talk Tonight, our virtual Zoom meeting. Please do not miss it. It is so much fun. We bring together veterans and spouses and everybody, and it's kind of like just our own little getaway just to talk and chat and see what's going on. So that's there. But again, like I said, I can't see comments. So here we go. We're just going to get into the meat and potatoes of life. We have been talking about abuse and not in necessarily a way that people think of, because people think of it as physical, mental, emotional, and that it is caused by somebody else, and that we live in abusive relationships, and we forget that a lot of it's our own mind sometimes, and that there's a lot of things that create a sense of abuse. Now, we're going to get into abusive relationships with others as we go through this. But I watched something yesterday. I am a huge fan of A Million Little Things, and this season has just been eye-opening. Whatever they did, the writers, if they don't win Emmys for everything they did this season, in learning to look at things from another person's perspective and see how one thing can change for everybody based on perspective. I watched an episode. I was watching the whole rest of the season. Actually, I binge watched, and it really gave me such an insight and into where we're going with abuse. And it never dawned on me that attitudes can be abusive. Attitudes can be abusive. And when I know y'all are like, Stacey, you're crazy, because I do this a lot and I understand and I get this way, but attitudes can be abusive. And so, we all have opinions. Everybody has them. We cannot expect to have the same opinion as anybody else. We all have our unique opinions. And that is the purpose behind these very unique opinions, is because it makes us individuals. But our attitude towards others and how we perceive others and how we perceive what others are doing and how we interpret that can create its own sense of an abusive environment, whether we mean for it to or not. So I'm going to use Nakia's words. Let me give you an example. I'm an example person. I am too. This was years and years and years ago. We were at the grocery store buying some stuff for Thanksgiving with my ex-husband's family, and I was still married to him at the time, and we were buying some stuff. And we had, I was going to put it on the debit card, just go on about my business. And I remember his sister saying to me, very loudly, actually, when we were in the store, in the Publix checking out, she goes, I'll put it on my EBT. And I'm like, you know what? I got this. And it dawned on me today. So it's been like 15 years later. It dawned on me today that I was like, she's just flashing this because this is what she likes to do. And she wanted to make a big deal. But it dawned on me today that when I said, no, I've got this, did I demoralize her? Did I make her feel less worthy when I said that. Maybe that was the only way she could help. And so over the years, I was resentful that we were the ones who were buying the stuff. I became resentful that we were the ones who were buying the stuff and nobody else was helping us. And then it dawned on me this morning, it dawned on me that, hey, maybe I took this from her. Maybe I demoralized her. And I'm thinking, so did my attitude towards her saying, I can help, the way me saying, no, I've got this, did that demoralize her? And did that make her feel bad? And you know that when we demoralize people and belittle them, that is what is defined in the world as abuse. When people are demoralized, did that do that? And so I'm thinking about that and I'm like, wow, did I do that? And so our attitudes can create this. And again, here's another perfect situation. My brother, he is amazing and he has a great job and he is in leadership role where he works. And so when he's out and about at home where he lives, if my brother goes out with friends and, his wife and all them, and they're out laughing and having a good time, not overserved, not intoxicated, but having a good time and have a glass of wine or a beer or whatever with dinner, and people see them just get caught up in the heat of the moment and laugh and have a really good time, is somebody looking at them and saying, he's drinking. So, and that can become a deformation of his character. And it can become from an attitude of what people see. So I think about like Memorial Day was 2 years ago. We were all at my mom's at the lake. And it's a place, because it's private, that my brother can kind of cut loose. And I'm not saying he's like tore it from the floor up, but I'm saying he can cut loose and nobody judges him. So Memorial Day comes and, it's summer. They're loading the boats, getting the coolers, getting the beer, getting the stuff. And everybody was. It wasn't just my brother. And for Carl, it was a very reverent moment. They had such different opinions. And so I can remember, the looking at it from the outside, I'm thinking, my brother's kind of looking at it like, hey, this is our 3-day weekend. What's wrong with you? And Carl's kind of looking at my brother like, we should be reverent. What's wrong with you? And did those two attitudes create, which they didn't, but those two attitudes and those two different mindsets, because they see it different, did the attitudes create a feeling of hurt? Watching the party go on, did Carl feel hurt? Okay, and when you feel hurt and you feel put down and you feel that your feelings don't matter, that is abuse. I mean, that's what we define it as. That isn't necessarily what it is, but that's when you look at the little checkoff list, it is when people hurt your feelings. And I'm not saying that true abuse doesn't happen, because it does. I've been a victim. I understand it. I got it. But we can, with our own attitude, create this mindset of being demoralized and it become abusive. I'm not I don't want this to become the political forum, but we know that we had the George Floyd stuff. I can truly say that I do not know what it is like to be a Black woman in America. I'm not. Blonde hair, blue eyes, white as they come. Doesn't mean one is better than the other, but I cannot say that I know what it feels like to be that. I don't know what that feels like. So I do know what it feels like to be in a bad situation and have the police officers be the one who've come and saved me. When you got a gun in your face and those little people show up, you are super excited. So I didn't watch a whole lot of it. And I'm not giving you my political opinion on either one of it, because it is what it is. And it happened and it was sad and it was horrible, but it created this divide. And so it became instantly that if you were the Black woman in America, you felt differently than if you were the person who they came and saved because you had a gun to your face. So the attitude we had going in and the baggage we brought with us going in changed people's opinion. And now we're sitting here arguing over difference of opinion, and we try to hurt each other and demoralize the other person for not having your views. How many times, and we all do it, y'all, I get excited. I have this friend on Facebook who never agrees with what I agree with, and I'll get in a mood and I will just type back just to fuel the fire, right? Like just to get into it. And Carl was doing that with a friend of his the other day over political views, and they were like back and forth. But does that become hurtful? When you put somebody down because of their feelings, does that become hurtful? Of course it does. But it's our attitude that we carry in with us. It is the attitude that we have going in with that. So if we go in with this attitude like, I'm the only one who's right, and you're never right, and you're never this, and you're never that. When we do that and we say our attitude is the only attitude that is right, are we demoralizing somebody else? And when we do that, do we hurt them? Well, yeah, we do. Because if people do that to us, it hurts us, right? I mean, that's the way it works. And so when you take the little checkoff boxes of what abuse is, making you feel less worthy. So if something and your attitude towards something and people don't agree with your attitude, your attitude, your belief, and then you take what they say the wrong way, does it make you feel like they've demoralized you, even though they didn't mean to? Demoralization is a form of abuse when you take the checkoff boxes. So I'm not saying that, but you have to think about your mindset. You have to start looking at things differently. When we start opening up our minds to be able to look at things completely differently and not judge people, then we see that things go away. We all know how many of us as veteran spouses with PTSD, okay, how many of us know that we are feel, let's rephrase that we cannot have a conversation with our non-veteran spouse friends because they won't understand what we're going through, and they're going to have an opinion that, oh, I don't know if I could live with that. You mean he has periods of rage? You mean she does this, she does that? Oh, they feel insecure. This is triggering them. What's a trigger? Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're like, how do you live with this? And I couldn't do that because I just can't do that. I can't live in that environment. How do you do that? And you shouldn't be living in that environment either. And so what does it do? It fuels us to get to that negativity, which creates that feeling that we don't matter. That's why I firmly believe in victory notes, victory walls. Write down your victories, because we measure our life based on our attitude. Our attitude is everything. Our attitude is everything. Y'all, I have had the worst 3 days I've had in a long time. And it was my attitude. It was me feeling less worthy. It was the things that I had no control over, none, zero control over, made me feel less worthy. And like I didn't matter, and I didn't add up, and I didn't belong, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do that. And it was a lot of that came from my own attitude. Things that I couldn't control, I had no attitude. I had this attitude over, and I became very negative. So when my negative attitude came out, what happened? I became negative in my own mind. So I'm talking crap to me like, oh, you don't matter. You're not good enough. You're not this. You're not that. Let me do this different. Let me do that different. What did I project to Carl? Well, I'm in a crappy mood. You're in a crappy mood. So now I'm in a crappy mood. I'm going to make you feel crappy because that's the way this works. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's like shit brings shit. I mean, it's just one of those things. And so we get this mindset, and what happens? I sat here and demoralized this guy. I mean, I said things that I never should have said to the person who loves me unconditionally. So when we get caught up in this, in these bad attitudes and this crappy way that we're looking at things, start taking a step out. You know, I really hate to say this, but I say it all the time. Carl is usually always right. So this is another situation where he is right. He made this comment to me You need to remove yourself from the situation. I'm looking at him like, how the hell am I going to remove myself from the situation when the situation is about me? And he said, don't make it about you. I said, but it is about me. And he said, don't make it about you. But it is. And this was this argument, right? And he said, take a step back. Take a step back. Look at it from a different perspective. Start taking steps back. Well, then I realized, do we struggle at times? Yeah. Do we have a hard time at times? Yeah. But so does everybody else. But when you take a step back and you look at it, you realize that things aren't as bad always as they seem. It could be worse. There could be worse things that are happening. There could be worse things or whatever. And when you are caught up in that negativity just rolls. Your internal dialogue changes. The dialogue you share with others change. Your posturing changes and you beat yourself up. And we all know that if somebody came and beat the hell out of us, that would be abuse, right? I mean, hands down abuse, right? Beat the hell up, that's abuse. But when we do it to ourselves because of our attitude, because of our gratitude, because of the way we feel, because of all this stuff, and we stop being grateful, our attitude creates abuse, whether it's to ourselves or to others. Whether it's to ourselves or to others. And I'll give you another great example. My mom's cousin, who I adore. I mean, she's been, obviously she's been part of the family since I've been around. She's my mom's cousin, so it makes her older than me by far, right? Her daughter-in-law had a liver disease, and she had to go on the Affordable Care Act to get insurance for her liver disease, to get her liver transplant. Well, we know I have a liver disease. We know that, it is what it is. Well, she lives in Dallas. Okay. So when you get on that HMO plan in Dallas, look at your resources that are right there. So it worked for her, right? It worked for her. So I'm angry, right? When this first started, I'm angry. Like I can't find health insurance. I've worked, I've done this, I've done that. I go to the Affordable Care Act. Well, that was about as unaffordable as day is long. But anyway, I went to the Affordable Care Act. Couldn't find insurance. And on top of that, they wouldn't take any doctor in my HMO plan. I live in Podunk, nowhere. I mean, I don't even think the vet was on the plan. Okay. So what happened was I got angry. I got so angry. And I'm like, it doesn't work. And what about me? And I'm going to do this. And she's over there. Well, what about, you're just doing this. And it helped my daughter-in-law. So you can't bash this. And what did we do? We created this. My life doesn't matter, or you're a jerk because you think this works. When the reality was it worked for her family in their location and they were grateful for it. It didn't work for me and my family, and we were struggling. So instead of us getting this crappy ass attitude toward each other and me feeling beat up, and then because I feel beat up, I'm turning it towards her and showing this resentment, when in reality, I should have been grateful that her daughter-in-law was blessed enough to get this done. But I didn't. And so I'm bashing her. I haven't even met her daughter-in-law, right? And so I'm bashing people that I don't even know. And I'm thinking, wow, what did you just do to your mom's cousin? We're family. And then I would call my mom. I'm like, do you know what your cousin did? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, and she's hurting me. And so I felt like she was beating me up and her attitude was abusive to me. And I'm like, but it was her attitude. It was the way I took it. It was the way I delivered it. It was the way she took it. It was the way she delivered it. And so, but the only person who can effectively change the attitude is me. I can't make her change her attitude. She can't make me change mine. Okay. We can't do that. Sorry, I'm looking at 16 things. We can't change these. They are what they are. So you can change your own attitude. So now get into this. I posted today about attitude of gratitude. Gratitude. People are like, what the heck? We should be grateful. We need to learn to become grateful. Well, and then you're like, how am I going to be grateful? Have you lived in my house? my veteran's doing this, and I'm the one who's doing this, and I'm the one who's got all this, and I'm the one who's got all that, and I've got this, and this is going on, and how can I be grateful? You know how you can be grateful? Ride and look at the homeless man. Do you have a roof over your head? Okay, I don't care if it's a $20,000 house, a single wide, a tent, or a $500,000 house, or a $2 million house. Do you have a roof over your head? Well, there's somebody who doesn't. So can you be grateful for what you have? Because when you sit here and you're like, well, I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't have this, and I don't have that, and who's beating yourself up? Who's demoralizing yourself? We are, based on our own attitude. How many times do we get angry at people who have more than us? Well, what have they done? And we get angry at them, right? And so now we're like, well, he just did this and they just did that. And so you're angry about all this and you're beating them up for succeeding. Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But we do it. And that kind of anger, when you're beating people up verbally with that kind of anger, it's not good for anybody. Think about my dear friend, actually, she went to school with my kids, Brooke. And I think I mentioned Brooke before, but Brooke has this amazing little boy. And I probably will his whole life always call him baby David Gray. But they knew early on when Brooke was pregnant that there were going to be heart defects with David Gray. And of course, everybody's like, terminate pregnancy. And Brooke chose not to. So long story short, Brooke is a mother, a heart warrior mother. And this poor baby, and I can't say poor baby because I have learned more from this child who is like 4 and his attitude than I have probably learned from anybody ever. So if you ever need a good shrink, just go watch David Gray and you'll learn that his attitude is so giving. And if you ever need a good shrink and you think you're going through a rough time, just go be him. Probably the first year of his life, or those 12 months of his life, he might have been home 6 weeks. And then when he came home for the first 2 years, they had a full-time nurse 24/7. Their child was on a ventilator. He had multiple open heart surgeries before he was 2 months old. Right? So he's this heart warrior and he's this. And it wasn't until last year when they did a procedure in Dallas or in Texas for him in the middle of COVID that there's ever been a picture that his lips weren't blue because he wasn't getting good oxygen. And all these things that could have gone wrong, like developmental delays, brains, is he smart? This kid is intelligent. He's smart. He's active. He doesn't know there's anything wrong because Brooke created that attitude for him. They went hiking with him when he was little. Right? The stroller, the backpack, all this stuff. Okay, well, when we go and, you put your baby, you put him in the backpack and you got the diaper bag and you're going up the hill and you're bitching and moaning and groaning and complaining, well, I got this baby and I'm carrying him up the hill. Y'all, they literally went hiking with this child and they had to take a portable ventilator, oxygen, backup batteries, stuff to suction the trach, a new trach tube, everything. And they went hiking. And Brooke's attitude was so amazing when she could have just sat there and said, I'm done. And David Gray doesn't know there's anything wrong with him. He doesn't get that he's different than anybody else. He doesn't understand that his life is a challenge. He doesn't understand that. And so I was working in Savannah and a baby was 2 years old and was a heart baby, same kind of defect that David Gray had. And she was a heart mom and literally the mom throws the baby and unfortunately the baby went on. But this mother had nothing, like didn't know where to go for funeral arrangements, didn't know anything. And I'm calling Brooke. Now understand, Brooke's child's on a ventilator, right? Brooke's got this heart baby. If you've ever seen pictures of this poor baby, he had more tubes and wires. It was awful at times. And I'm calling Brooke. I'm like, Brooke, can you help me? And I don't even know what's going on in Brooke's world, right? I mean, I don't know if David Gray's having an issue or whatever. And Brooke says, absolutely, I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And in 15 minutes, this woman found the resources I needed. She never belittled anything. She gave me such a positive attitude when she could have said no. Okay, so at that point, she was embracing and uplifting, and there was no attitude. I just called her and said, Brooke, another heart baby died. And it could have spun her into a place where, like, oh my God, my child's going to do it too. Oh my gosh, this just happened. I'm going to be like this too. I'm never going to see this, and I'm never going to see that with him, and I'm never going to do it. She didn't do that. So she's just like this amazing woman. But we tend to do that. When we hear negativity, we tend to breed into that, and that creates our feeling of despair, loneliness, anger, frustration, bitterness, resentment. All of those things are signs of abuse, right? Our attitude can help with that. Our attitude, now we have not gotten into true verbal abuse or physical abuse yet. We haven't really gotten to that, and we will next week. But what I'm saying is our attitude can create those same feelings of abuse. Our attitude is key in how we look at things. We can change our situation by changing our attitude. Like, I know, Stacey, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. No, I'm real. I've been there, done that. I wallowed in my self-pity for way too long. And I felt beat up. And I felt abused by a system. And I felt all of these things when I just sat back this morning, got him and said, you know what? There are gifts that I have. There are blessings that I have that people don't have. I have an amazing guy who supports me in every venture that I do. Every dumb thing I come up with, he's like, will it make you happy? And he's probably sitting back on the couch like, oh dear God, where are we going now? He never says that to me. He's like, will it make you happy? Well, yeah, then let's do it. Let's try it. And never does he say that. Never does he come into me and say, well, I don't want you to cook again because, you left the stove on, or have you taken, it's 8:02. Have you taken your medicine today? He never does that. If I don't take my medicine, he walks in and hands it to me. I have this amazing guy, and I could get, when we have our moments of rage or our moments of anger, or our moments of fighting, I'd be like, well, he's got PTSD like everybody else, and I'm just so tired of this, and I can't deal with this, and he's abusive. No, he argues with me. I argue with him. We both spew venom. That's abusive as it can come. Spewing venom is it. We both do it. But am I living in an abusive relationship? Absolutely not. I live in a loving relationship where we say hurtful things. We don't say it all the time. I live in a loving, caring relationship where we say hurtful things. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and he has said this to many people, I will die to protect her. And he means that. He means that. He means that. And so we have to change our attitudes. And when we become grateful for what we do have, be grateful for the good moments. Yeah, I look at when we look at the whole veteran PTSD situation. Let me just tell you this number. 22 veterans a day kill themselves. 22 on average a day take their own lives. So we might bitch and moan and groan and complain about ours, but our veteran's there. And as long as that veteran is there, physically on this earth, we can work towards building a better, stronger, happier relationship. Okay? So 22 a day take their lives. 78% of marriages, veterans with PTSD fail. 78%. So if you're still with your veteran, please celebrate the fact you are one of the 22% that have succeeded. It may not be perfect yet, but you've succeeded. So change your attitude. Do you feel that it's abusive at times? Yeah, you probably do. We all do. Do you feel that it's tough sometimes? Yeah, you do. We all do. But if you're still with them, you are in the elite 22%. You are in that elite number. It's pretty impressive odds. So you're already way ahead of the rest of the curve here. If your veteran is still alive and has not succumbed to the 22 a day, there you go. If he didn't die while he was there you go. And if you're still in a relationship with him, you are in the elitist. The rest of it, we can sort out. The rest of it can be sorted out. So as your attitude improves, you will no longer feel this way. We got to define our attitudes. And the one thing I want you to take from today, and that we're going to teach every day here, we started out, sorry, we are almost a year old as well. And so last night was amazing, and I got to reflect back on where we've been a year ago. The one thing that we founded this on was that we are stronger together. And I mean that. And I mean that is going to become our new mantra, our new hashtag, our new everything, our new focus. Carl and I are stronger together, hands down. I am stronger as a human because of y'all, hands down. We are stronger as a community together. We're going to get more done when it comes to healthcare issues. If you write your senator, you write your congressman, because the VA health system is horrible, you're one voice. But when we come together, we are stronger together. So how are we going to break the cycles? How are we going to break the cycles of the 22 a day? How are we going to break the cycle of the 78% of marriages fail? Because we're going to become stronger together, and we're going to improve our marriages. We're going to share that with other people who are going through what we're going through, right? That have been down the same road that we're going through. We're going to improve healthcare. We're going to improve the overall way people look at things. We're going to improve the stigma of the stuff. And when you do that, you're going to see the mental, emotional, physical abuse go down. That's what it's about, being stronger together. Our attitudes. We can roll over and be negative. And I'm telling you, when the glass is dirty, you can't see through it to see what you really have. Get grateful for what you do have. We can improve that. Every day we have, every moment we can restart and improve where we are. But we can't do it when we're sucking into the negative, because that negative demoralizes us. That negative demoralizes our relationship. That negative demoralizes our veteran. That negative demoralizes the culture. The culture, the veteran culture that we live in. That is the abuse that we create for ourselves. So, enough on this topic today. Let's talk about good things. Let's talk tonight, 7 p.m. We will see you then. It is on Zoom. It is on an event here. Y'all join us. Have a great day. I'm going to get off of here, finish my coffee, spend a few minutes with Carl, and then him and I are going to go to my son's and see the new grandbaby stuff, because that new baby will be here before long. And I was told to come see all the new stuff they bought for the baby. So we're going to go do that. I also think he wanted a dozen eggs, but hey, it is what it is. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are loving my veteran, and we are all way stronger together. Bye.